Yes, it's true, my younger self was not a big fan of beans unless they were covered in tomato sauce. I'd like to say that I've grown out of that, but not really. Anyway, the making of this meal is actually very simple if you want to literally copy the exact recipe. You'll just need to buy some fake chicken breasts and some fake chorizo and a tin of cannellini beans, and then add in some kale and some smoked paprika, and that's pretty much all you need for this recipe. However, the problem is trying to get hold of those items. As you'll see, I've used Morrison's as an example here because that was the only place I could find everything, but it is extremely hard to find chicken breasts in most shops, and it's also very difficult to find the chorizo sausages in most shops. And even in this case, when I was looking through, although I could find the fake chicken breast, the sausages were out of stock. So my version is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to turn this into more of a stew using ingredients that I know I can get hold of very easily. So it's not quite the same recipe, but hopefully it will be just as tasty. I'm starting with the basic stew base recipe of celery, carrot, onion, and adding in a little bit of garlic. And I'm adding to that 1/4 of a Swede and 1/2 a courgette that I found in the fridge, because stews are a great place to use up any of your vegetables that you've got left over. So first thing to do is to chop all of that lot up. I then defrosted a couple of sausages from a packet of 6 that were left over, and I got about 3/4 of a cup of soya chunks ready to be rehydrated. Now I chopped the sausages into chunks, and I made a spice mix with a pinch of 5 spice, about 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, and about 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, heated up the oil in a pan, and then chucked the sausage and the spice mix in together. And once they were cooked, I tipped them out of the pan and put the veggies in, without cleaning the pan out, just to give them a little bit extra flavour. I then sweated down the vegetables, added the chicken pieces along with some chicken seasoning, and once the chicken pieces were also cooked through, I added the sausages, stirred everything through and gave it a little bit more of a cook before adding in a tin of baked beans. Yes, I cheated and used baked beans, but there you go. I then added in 1 stock cube and 2 lumps of frozen spinach instead of the kale, because that's what I had. And I then added 1.5 cups of water and just left everything to simmer whilst the spinach was breaking down and defrosting. And then once that had done, it was time to dish up with a little splodge of plain yogurt and a sprinkling of paprika and some chopped up coriander that I had left in the fridge. What I loved about this meal was it was a great way to use the staple of the week and use up a load of vegetables from the fridge, but also the way it was cooked meant that although the sausage and the fake chicken didn't necessarily hold the flavours within themselves very strongly, it did go into the whole stew, which made it taste really nicely. It was sort of the 5 spice and the paprika and everything, so it actually was a really pleasant meal. Now obviously, yes, it would be a lot easier to make the Nigella version, but I didn't find this particularly onerous to do. It was just a case of chopping and then chucking things into a pan, leaving it to simmer, and then serving it up. Using up the leftover yogurt was excellent for me, and then having just the extra coriander as well, again using things up. So this as a kind of end of week meal was quite perfect for just getting everything out of the fridge and having a nice tasty meal at the same time.